Hello, this is Victor. I wanted to make a video, I guess talking about like I don't know if you've ever heard like the phrase like, okay, you in order to really grow, you have to kill the old version of yourself. And I've worked on and off, like ups and downs, whatever you want to call it, on personal development for like 2 years now. And that was always a phrase that I would hear. It's like you have to kill the old version of yourself in order to really let go, in order to really surrender. And I mean, I'd always accept it as like, yeah, yeah, of course, like that makes sense. Like, they thank you for everything, but in order to grow, like I need to let you go. And so I'd always end up in these like cycles where like I would make tons of progress, like I'd get things done, and then it was like this, you call it what it was, it's a tantrum basically that would happen, and I'd end up, well, best case scenario, just flatlining, like no progress at all. But in the worst case scenario, like seriously regressing, I would basically become like this person, that was like very like just constantly self-victimizing, being very negative about himself, about his surroundings, about what's going on, about what I do and I don't have. And I would always have to work my ass off to just like work past that. And sometimes it would take way too long because, if you're really making progress, it should be really quick. You can fix yourself if you're throwing a fit, if you're having a tantrum or whatever, in like maybe a day or two tops at most. But unfortunately, or not unfortunately, but just the way that I was designed or the way that I grew up or something, I'm not really here to fish for root causes, just to kind of tell you my experience, what's going on. The part of me that I've worked for so long to try to like overcome, to try to conquer, look, I want to say that I feel like I have a very good idea. Like I know exactly what it is, put it that way. And all I'm doing, I think, with this video is committing to saying, like, this is how I'm going to kill the old version of myself and surrender. And this is what it is. And the version of me that like I was not letting go of was like this person who had tons of terrible qualities and acted like they weren't there, like lying to get out of like facing consequences, to use it to my advantage, to be, I even like to lie to myself, just to like keep myself happy and not really look at what was really going on and shy away from it. And there's tons of qualities too that I'm not too proud of. I've been very like a jealous type. I've like because of my line, I've cheated on various things. Like if I'm on a diet, like that's the one I was struggling with for a little bit. Like I'd always cheat on my diet, but at the root of it, um, it was all coming down to just like I was a liar, and I'd had to think about it for like the past day or two. Like, well, why do I lie? Like it's so second nature to that old version of myself. Like it's so like I can do it with so much confidence lying that I'll believe myself and the regret won't come in until like a couple minutes later. And then I'll start to feel the regret, and now I'm in very deep, like, damn, why did I say that? And then it lingers, and then it leads to more lying and more cheating on the diet and more just spiraling. It's a very silent type of spiral, it's a very like almost like you reinforce that loop over and over again. It's habitual. And so I was like, the one thing I'm not letting go is still this liar personality. Like it's the thing that's messing me up and the thing that's ruining me, my relationships, my dreams. Like it slowly just starts to like eat away at like just the idea of what you want. Because when you lie, it's almost like you're putting out into the universe that you're letting like you're not in control pretty much. And the reason for that is that even more so at the root of it, the root of lying is it's completely fear based. When you start to lie over and over again, you're deciding that, what, fear can take control. Fear can be the one that's in charge here. Like me, myself, like I'm not going to be the one making decisions. It's going to be all completely rooted in fear. And I think for me, and I had a really good unlock where fear is not necessarily a bad thing. Like fear is something that like you use because it's probably kept you alive. Like no one says like, well, fear is a bad thing when it, keeps you from going down like an unlit jungle where tigers live and stuff like that. And I'm exaggerating, but the problem is more so letting fear take control, like for everything, and really for even the smallest of things, because that's how invasive it can be, and it starts to reinvade. And so my response to being afraid, rather than confronting it, was always to turn to this personality type. The reason I couldn't let it go, like always turn to the liar, to the person who cheats on his diet, to the person who's like jealous that people have things that he doesn't, to vices, like obviously eating is one of them, freaking like rereading the same manga that I've already read, like whacking it off or whatever is safe for YouTube. Like it was a miserable place to be in because I was so afraid to confront what I was supposed to do. And the reason that happens is that like you get afraid of the things that you're supposed to be doing because there's this part of because it's so you're so used to just basically like you know what, like if fear is in control, it's going to tell you like the worst things. And the brain again because it's so like, oh yeah, like it's just a part, it's a mechanism of the brain, fear, because it's so like instinct. It can't tell the difference between the stories that you tell yourself and reality. And so I would always default, I couldn't let go of the liar because it was like, well, everywhere I look, like I see my mistakes, I see my regrets. Like fear starts to tell me like I can't face like, like the people I love, because all I see when I look at their face is like every single time I've disappointed them and every single time I've hurt them. And that's all that would echo back, every single time they would tolerate me. Like we're talking like 30 years of this. And so it would just feedback, it'd be like, that's exactly what's going to happen. Like if I start to talk to them, like, this is all they're going to think of me. If I start to address the things that like I'm afraid to address or the things that I'm afraid to look at, it's like, yeah, you're going to stay poor because you're like, if you go look at how your finances are doing or how like a way to make more money, it's like, it's going to go like this because it's already gone like this, like you're going to get broke again. You're going to get in debt, more debt. Like this is how it's going to go. When you start looking at like just previous experiences, it's like, why do I lie? Because like it used to mean like serious consequences, whether that was at school with parents. It's like, I'll give you a really like, I guess, quick example. It's probably going to sound pathetic, but it's like you have parents that came here um, from another country. Like I'm first generation, and like the idea of education is obviously really important to them because that's what they know. Like they know that they came here for a better opportunity. So, say me like getting into really good student and stuff like that, just because like I was a smart kid or whatever, and then suddenly starting to do bad, and just like the weight on the shoulders of that kid. When you start to do bad, like I was afraid to like not only seek help for it, but when I finally got like help, like when my parents and stuff tried to address it, and like when teachers, would try to help and stuff like that, like I would shut down, and that's when the liar would come in. It'd be like, like like I'm just like I don't get it, or I'm stressed out, or there's too much homework, or and I wouldn't tackle it head on and be honest, and be straightforward. And so it was easier to lie and essentially just try to find like the way that involved the least amount of suffering, which is the second part of like why it was so hard to kill the old version of myself, is that it was never accompanied with any sort of suffering. And there's a lot of reasons for that, with the suffering. It really just comes down to like not wanting to be uncomfortable. Like I always felt like I could, conquer the world as long as I had like I could eat how I wanted to, or well, really the food has always been the big one. But like if I just had like my nightly beer or something like that, and it's still at the end of the day, like fear is still piloting that, and it's like you don't want to go through the suffering. even though you know you should. Um, because guess what? As soon as things start to suffer, that means like bad. That means bad things are happening. So guess what? Like you're gonna end up in like XYZ situation. And so if you start to suffer, like you just know that it's guaranteed that it's gonna go down this way. And so it was this very vicious cycle where like the exact things that I knew that I needed to do was like rooted in this old version of myself that just found it easier to lie. And then if you continue to do that, it's just that becomes your new identity. And you can't really have any love for yourself when like that's the core of your person. And so now I guess like just to like not let this video go on for too long, where do I find myself after 30 years of being afraid, of being a coward, of being, yeah, just like so afraid that these habits, these almost like instinctual defense mechanism, whatever you want to call it, of like, I'm going to lie to cover my ass. I'm going to go eat whatever I want in order to cover my ass. Like, where do I go from here, basically, at age 30? And the way forward is to not self-victimize about it, and you just dive into it. All of the things that I did, all of the consequences, everything how it went down, accept it, and just move forward. Whatever story, whatever, anything that's going on, like in terms of like being afraid of tackling it, it's like completely in the head, like 100%. And that's the exact point where these traits come from anyways. So for me, as of today, I'm like, I'm at this point where I've decided very firmly, like, this sucks, like letting fear be the pilot, be like the main decision maker behind everything. Like it sucks. And I got the two halves of this was from listening to wisdom from Napoleon Hill, and then the discipline, the suffering part of it from my life coach, my father-in-law, Albert. I was just like listening to just a certain piece of wisdom as I was walking around, and it almost brought me to tears because it was like all of the dreams I've let like succumb to like fear and like not wanting to be uncomfortable and lying my way out of it, and people that I've hurt, and just like things that I've messed up because it's like I didn't want to just like be honest and move in the direction that I knew I should. And that doesn't mean like you have to like completely abandon fear. It's like not a reckless thing, it's like just a matter of saying like, I understand you're here. I understand you're afraid, but this is the reason why you're afraid is because this is something that has to be checked out. This is something that has to be addressed. A lot of people think that like, oh, you're afraid, so that means you shouldn't do it. That means you shouldn't go in that direction. But that's not true. It just means that it's something that you have to touch on. You have to tell fear, hey, I need you to be in the back seat. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. But I'm the one that gets to decide, like, what are we going to do with this? And I think right now it's at its most brutal, its most tender, because it's like I have to, yeah, deal with, I'm an adult, 30 years of like, like I have to think back on everything I did and it just learn from it, accept it, and grow from it. And just to clean up, I guess, like echoes of the past and move forward still, like when hardship comes, still grow. When things don't go your way, still grow. And just be dedicated to this new version of myself that I've decided all stems from just not letting fear take the driver's seat. And if I do that, I know that just naturally through building stronger habits, positive habits, suffering, that the liar, the jealous person, the cheater, like all of those nasty qualities that take over when I let fear take over, those will go away on their own almost. Doesn't mean they won't take active work. Of course they will. But just the realization that like everything I've ever done, the root of it is just like I'm afraid, And even when my voice is trembling, when my hands are shaking, when I know so badly that I don't want to think about it or address it, I'm going to say, look, think about all the, like where it got you, all the people you've hurt, like think about that part of your life. And it's cool to be like, I get it. You have fear, but put it in the back burner, put it in the back seat. It's just something you have to touch on and just go. Whatever it is that's in your head, where you're making up some sort of like whatever about it, especially the ones that come from like a specific, like, okay, it's because, I talked to this person and they got angry tons of times at me, like, or I messed up with this person so much. And now I'm afraid to confront them and talk to them because I know they think I'm a loser. Your brain, again, cannot tell the difference between reality and what's in your head. And you have to get pushed past that, because if you don't, there's no way you can let go of the old version of yourself. Like, it's going to want to creep in because it's like a habitual, like, thing that you've relied on to keep you safe from the fear. But that was it for this video. Just, again, this is my dedication. I really want to just declare this as like okay, this is the official split. This is where I'm deciding, like, thank you, the old version of me. This sucks, like, I need to, like, be the one that's in charge. I need to be the one that heads towards the things that I'm afraid of, even when you show up. Thank you and goodbye. But I think there's so much to learn and gain from all of this. So I'm pretty sure this is not my first video I'm going to do on this. But overall, this is the only way to let go of the old version of yourself. Looking back, even when I was first starting, like, my weight loss journey, like, at one point, I know I had the thought of, like, there has to be a way to squeeze in, like, a fun meal that's not diet food, somewhere along the way. And then it's cool if I just do it once and then, leave it be. And that's not true. I think the last part of it before I go is, like, you have to just close the door behind you. You can't look back. You can look back as, like, fuel, motivation, so that you don't do it again, but you really cannot go back. You can't. The way you do one thing is the way you'll do everything. And so if you hesitate, and I'm not saying you can't make mistakes, but if you decide even for a moment that, like, you know what, like, this isn't for me, like, I'm not ready yet, fear will listen and it will say, perfect, let me go ahead and go back to the driver's seat and watch yourself end up with the same results that you have been getting. But yeah, like I said, I guess I have plenty to say on this, as it's like my main thing that I'm conquering right now. And I'll see what I can talk about in a different video, but hopefully this was like as enlightening for you as it was for me. And I will see you guys very soon. You're welcome to subscribe. This is my personal channel. I run a gaming channel on the side. You're welcome to check it out. We had a fun video blow up a little bit. Not really blow up, but, well, I shouldn't say that's negative, but just, it's a really fun video. If you like games, check it out. But otherwise, you're welcome to like and subscribe. I'll see what I film on here. It's usually personal videos like this, but I think it's important stuff to me, at least. So hopefully it's important to you too.